Yes. Good evening, all of you. Thank you for taking time and joining the session of Gita. And it is more so important because you have stopped enjoying the pleasure of World Cup. India, Australia, very interesting match. And you've taken time off to come and listen to Gita. Thank you very much. So we are on chapter 15, the yoga of the Supreme Person. It's also called as Purshottama Yoga. We will start the part 2, where we will cover 8 verses today, verses 12 to 20. The acronym of this chapter is HOME, and we will see why it is called HOME. Before I actually start, I want to pay obeisances to my Guru, His Grace Gaur Vilas Prabhuji, and my Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And most importantly, I seek all your blessings as I start talking about this important chapter. Devotees' blessings means more important. That's what Krishna says. I'm not saying this. So, with your blessings, with your permission, I start the session. Let us start with the prayers. I will read the first line. You can repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama
Hare Hare.
Rama Hare Hare.
What happened? Yeah. Mm, One second. Can you see the slide now?
Yes, perfectly all right now.
Okay. Let me check. We have completed 561 verses till date. That is just to give you
an
an
idea
idea
about the statistics. We have another 139
verses to go. Then we complete the whole Gita. With that brief statistics, let's look at home. Why is this chapter known as home? And what is that we studied in the last class? A brief recap. So Krishna, very interestingly, very impactfully drives home a point in this chapter. He talks us through what is our attachment. What is that which we are attached to the most? Best example is our home. Our home is a favorite place. It has childhood memories, our parental love, our siblings, and everything that we grew up with is connected with our home. So our attachment to home is deep, and our attachment to home is always favorable. We have fond memories of how our home is. And if you remember, if you were a student doing your engineering or post graduation or graduation, and if you were to stay outside of your hometown, then once the summer holidays kick in, the first thing you would have been doing is that book the earliest transport available and rush home. Even today, if you are in office at 5 o'clock, you'll be watching your clock because you want to reach home. So Krishna says, yes, I understand. Home is a very, very favorite place of all jivas, of all living entities. It is equally true of humans. It is equally true of all animals too. But he says, have you ever paused? Have you ever reflected? Is this home your permanent dwelling? That is the question we must pause and reflect. Second example is hotel. Whenever we travel, we have a favorite place of residence. The depending on the commercials, whatever rent you pay, you get the best of facilities. You also love your place of stay as a hotel. But Krishna in this chapter is telling us, why don't you all understand that be it your home, be it hotel, they're all temporary. We are here maybe for 50, 60, 70, 80 years. That's the maximum. After that, we have to give up our homes. We have to give up our favorite memories. The whole thing is lost. So he says, why don't you look at coming back to your spiritual home? He calls it Tadhama Paramam Mama. Please come back to your spiritual home. And O is titled as on and on, over and over again. In the verses 6 to 11, last time we read Krishna says, this material world, however attractive it looks, however beautiful it is full of miseries. You have birth, you have death. I know you are fighting from one crisis to another. So this is not the right place for you. Just follow the path I have given you in Gita, and you can come back to the spiritual world. He gives us a glimpse of the spiritual world. He says it is perfect, complete, and satisfying to all. We don't have a body which ages, we don't have disease, we don't have death. We are eternal. That is the attraction of spiritual world. So he says, Arjuna, try and make up your mind to cut your attachment and come back home. That was what we studied in the last class. Today we are going to study M and E. M is maintainer. Krishna says, I am giving you this knowledge where I look after you physically, materially, and spiritually. And we will see this in the verses 12 to 15, how Krishna is the maintainer of our body, mind, and soul. And he is the essence of Gita. It is called Trishloki Gita, Trishloka Gita. In chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga, we had studied Chaturshloki Gita. And in this chapter, we are studying Trishloki Gita. What is the satisfaction of sitting through the class today is we will gain the knowledge which we would have gained if we have done all the four Vedas, all the Upanishads, all the Itihasas, spend lifetime over lifetime to try and master these Vedas. Or you go to, Krishna tells us, even Vedanta, which is the sum and substance of Vedas. He says, even the knowledge of Vedanta, which is the sum and substance of all the Vedas, all that thing is comprised or is put together, is compacted in just 3 verses. So we will have the satisfaction of understanding the wisdom of all the scriptures that are there for us to learn. That is the beauty of the essence of Gita, that Trishloki Gita. Now, a quick recap again to come back to where we were in the last chapter. How is this chapter connected with 13th, 14th, and 15th? The 13th chapter, we studied the Bijavakya, that is the root verse. What was that? In 13.22, Krishna says, Purusha Prakriti Tohi, Bhunte Prakriti Jan Gunan, Karanam Gunasangosya, Sad Asad Yoni Janmashu. So, what is the essence of this verse? He says, Bhunte Prakriti Jan Gunan. Because you want to enjoy all the pleasures provided by Mother Nature, Prakriti, you become situated in this material world, you get attached to this material world, and then you have to keep repeating the cycle of life and death. Tad asad yoni janmashu. Depending on your karma, we come back again and again into this material world. So Krishna says, please be aware what is the cause of your coming back to this world again and again. That is desire. That is the seed. So this is nicely shown here. When you sow a seed, what happens? It sprouts into a nice plant. So if you are able to cover your desire, if you are able to control your desire, then Krishna says you can progress on the path of knowledge. We are in the Jnana section of Gita. So he says, he describes to us this knowledge. In the 14th chapter, he gave us further insight as to what causes us to be bound to this material world. What causes us to be attached to this material? Why do we hold on to this miserable material world? It says you are under the mode of 3 modes. You are under the control of 3 modes. And what is this mode compared to? It says it gives the nourishment to grow that seed into a plant. So our attachment becomes deeper and we are further and further in the material world. In 14.26, I'll quickly take you through just to give you the connection. He says, Bhakti Yoge na sevate. What does it mean? He says, if you have to come out of this seed of desire, the nourishment provided by the modes, that you have to step above the modes, what you have to do is get into full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances. Do not waver. If you are single-mindedly in a process of serving me, then you will come to the level of Brahman. So Brahman is that stage where we are all qualified to get into devotional service. Then in 14.27, the last verse of the 14th chapter, he says, Brahmano hi pratistaham. This is the second level of knowledge where he says, I am the basis of impersonal Brahman. Who and how is the Brahman described? Immortal, imperishable, and eternal. So Krishna has clearly told us in the 14th chapter how you can step away, come out of the clutches of the modes. In the 15th chapter, we studied in the last class, he says, I compare this material world to an upside down banyan tree. And you will be surprised. Why is Krishna using this imagery verse? Why is he saying that it's an upside down banyan tree? There is a nice story. I repeated this in the last class. Let's quickly go through that so that you understand the essence of this chapter, Purshottama Yoga. He says, now the story is like this. There was a king who was blessed with a single daughter, the child, and the whole kingdom, parents loved the child enormously, immensely. She was the cynosure of all eyes. And on one of those occasions, the king and the queen decide to gift the child with a very, very expensive necklace, beautiful necklace. The child is thrilled, overjoyed. And child being a child, she doesn't know the value of the necklace. She wears the necklace and goes to play by the lakeside one of those days. And she is lost in play. And a child forgets itself when she is or he is with her friends. True to that, she is completely immersed in playing. And then when it was time to go home, he looks at around and says, oh my God, where is my necklace? I seem to have dropped it somewhere. So with her friends, she makes an attempt to find the necklace, but to no avail. Then she is the uproar, the princess of the kingdom. The king sends the entire retinue of army saying that I want you to find that necklace. And they also make great effort, but to no avail. They don't find the necklace. And all this time, there is a stranger who's sitting by the side of the lake and he's watching this. And now the search is a failure. So the servants and the army and the daughter goes back to the palace. King pacifies his daughter, says, don't worry, I'll give you a necklace, even more expensive, even more beautiful than this. Then what happens by the lakeside? The stranger who's sitting there watching this carefully says, let me try my luck. Let's see what happens. So he goes around the lake. He approaches the deep end of the lake, thinking that maybe if I'm lucky, I should be able to find that necklace. And lo and behold, he does find the necklace. Where? At the deep end of the lake, and the necklace is shining, but it's in the water. So he immediately says, I'm a good swimmer. Let me make an attempt to get that necklace out. He dives inside, goes down deep, and searches frantically, does not find the necklace. One attempt, two attempt, three attempt, to no avail. Nothing happens. He is shocked. He's surprised. He says, I can see the necklace from the shore, which is shining so brightly. But when I go inside, why don't I find the necklace? What's the problem? Then he sees a sage, a sadhu sitting nearby. He goes to him, offers obeisances and says, oh dear sage, please help me. I am really perturbed. I am really bewildered. I can see the necklace with my eyes, but I can't find it. But please promise me you will not take a share from that necklace. The sage says, I'm a renounced guy. I have no love for your material wealth. But anyway, since you're asking me for help, let me come and help you. So both of them walk towards the lake deep end. And yes, the stranger shows the sage, see the necklace. And the sage says, yes, I can see the necklace very, very clearly. When he says, why am I not able to recover it? Then he says, this is the problem with this material world. You are searching for the necklace in the wrong place. This necklace is not in the water. Necklace is on the tree nearby. And he quickly climbs up the banyan tree, picks up the necklace and throws it down. And the stranger is surprised, shocked. He says, I'm looking for the necklace in the lake because I was seeing it's shining so well inside the lake. But actually, the necklace is on top of the tree. How did it go there? Maybe a bird, when the child dropped the necklace, had picked it up, and then it found it was of no use to it and put it on the tree. What is the essence of this story? The essence of the story is, like the stranger who was seeing the jewel or the necklace shining in the water, which is nothing but a reflection of the real necklace which was hanging from the tree. Similarly, we are living in this material world, which Krishna says is a reflected upside down banyan tree. So let's not chase the necklace in the lake. Let's look at the necklace up above in the tree. And the spiritual world for us is a real home. And that's what Krishna is wanting to drive home as a point to Arjuna. He says, attachment holds you back, that attachment by detachment. And he tells us how to do that throughout this chapter. Let's move to we start the first section, maintainer of the body, mind, and soul. So Krishna gives us in 4 verses how he completely is taking care of us. Whatever be our needs, it is coming from Krishna. That is first step in awareness, first step in knowledge. 15.12, he talks about the cosmology, the universe. 15.13, 14, he talks about how do we live in this material world, terrestrial, physiological. And the 15th verse, he tells us how does he help us understand spiritually. We start the first verse of the day. Yad adityagatam tejo jagad bhashayate akhilam yat chandramasi yat chagnau tejo vidhi mamakam. So this is talking about what is the arrangement in the universe for us to live in this material world. And whatever he says in this verse is fully supported by science. I will show you how. What is the translation? He says, the splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. So Krishna is very clearly telling us where all we can see Krishna in our day-to-day lives. We need the real eyes to see Krishna around us. In 15.10, Krishna had said, Ukramantam stitam vapi, bhunjanam va gunanvitam, vimudha nanupashyanti, pashyanti gnana chakshusha. Says, the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of material nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see on all this. So he had very clearly told us what is required, what is the knowledge. We need to train our eyes to see what needs to be seen. And that comes through scriptures. And that comes through these verses that Krishna speaks to Arjuna. He says, if you do not understand Atma Gyan, which I spoke in the earlier chapters of Gita, fine. You're not able to appreciate, understand, I am not the body, I am the soul. Maybe it is too high level knowledge for you. He says, now, I'm giving you something which is every breath of yours, every living moment, you are going to live with me, with my vibhutis, with my powers. See me around you, and then realize Krishna is with me everywhere. How do we describe this? He says, Yad Aditya Gatam Tejo. Yad means that. Aditya Gatam. The Aditya Gatam is energy, light, brilliance, radiance, effulgence, splendor of the sunshine. We all agree that sunshine is so important for us to live in this world. And what does the sunshine do? Jagad Bhashayate Akhilam. The splendor of the sun, which is his sunlight, dissipates the darkness of the entire universe. And he says, please note, this effulgence of the sun is coming from me. Then he continues, Yat Chandramasi Yat Chagnau. Effulgence in the moon is also coming from me. Chandramasi is the moon. Yat Chagnau, he says, the effulgence in the fire that we use for cooking is also coming from me. In any yajna, when you have to offer sacrifices, it is the fire which is the carrier of oblations. So the splendor of the sun, the splendor of the moon, and the splendor of the fire are all coming from me. They are my powers, they are my vibhutis. Then he says, Tat Tejo Vidhi Mamakam. Understand this Tejo effulgence comes from me. Mam Vidhi. The arrangement on this earth to support all the living beings is done by my vibhuti. Now, how do we understand this? Acharya say, this world is so beautiful. It has so much of variety. So we all appreciate the lovely design. What a wonderful place this world is. He has designed living what you can say, essentials for any kind of living being. It's not just humans. There are 8,40,000 species in this world, and all of them are living comfortably. And he says, beyond the design, we should understand there is a designer. You cannot create this universe, this beautiful material world, just like this. It has to happen because of the designer. And who is the designer? It is Krishna. Let's look at the next verse. And he has used the same words to describe the spiritual world. And what a contrast between the material world and the spiritual world. Let's look at what he said in 15.6. He said, Na tad bhashayate suryo, na sashanko na pavakaha, yad gatva na nivartante, tad bhama paramam mama. He has described the spiritual world. And how is the spiritual world? Our true home. He says, the spiritual abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. So he has already described the spiritual world by using the same example of sun, moon, and fire. And he says in the spiritual world, none of this is required because I am there. In the material world, I am there, but you see me as sun, moon, and fire. That is the beauty of Krishna. This slide shows you about what the science teaches us. Science also says the same thing. It talks about photosynthesis, it talks about chlorophyll, and it tells us in short how sunlight is converted to life. So this is both science and spiritual knowledge from Gita are matching in this case. We move to the next verse. Gam avishya cha bhutani dharayami aham ojasaha pushnani chaushadhi sarvaha tomo bhutva rasatmakaha. Now he's describing how he enters the planets and how he is the moon. Let's see the translation. I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. Just read this verse. By my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all the vegetables. All the wonderful vegetables that we eat is coming by power of Krishna. Let's go through the verse line by line. Gam avishya cha bhutani. Gam, all the planets. Avishya. He says, I enter into all the planets through sunshine, through solar energy. I penetrate the entire universe with my solar sunshine, and I look after Bhutani, all the living beings, which includes plants, animals, aquatic creatures, amphibian, human, insect. You name it, you have it. Everything is nourished and sustained by the Lord. That's why in our culture it is said, please get up before sunrise and expose ourselves to the morning sunlight. And I'll tell you, it is so true. Today, all of us have, at least most of us have deficiency of B12, B3, and that is because there's a lack of exposure to sunshine. So sunshine plays such an important role. And because we don't step out into the sun, what do? We take medicine to improve our low B12 and B3 levels. That is the importance of sunshine, and that is called pranic energy. It looks after us so well. Dharayami aham ojasa. Dharayami is to maintain, sustain. How does he maintain us? How does he sustain us? Aham ojasa, by my energy. What is ojas? Ojas is prana shakti, vital force. So Krishna says, I am sustaining all the living entities on all the planets by my energy. Then he says, how do you see me? Pushnami chaushadi sarvaha. Pushnami means I am nourishing as aushadi. What is aushadi? Aushadi is medicine. It's not that we get tablets in the trees. So you will find medicinal vegetables, medicinal plants, medicinal herbs. So all that which heals also is coming through my vibhuti. Somo. What is Somo? Somo is the moon. Bhutva rasatmakaha. Rasa means the sap of the plants. What nourishes the plant is the sun. That what nourishes why does the vegetable taste so tasty? You have mango, which is so sweet. You have orange, which is bittersweet. How does this taste come from? because it is the effulgence of the moon which is creating this taste on all the different vegetables in this world. And every vegetable is palatable because of the influence of the moon. Science also agrees. So, in summary, he is the Surya Shakti, he is the Chandra Shakti, and he is also nourishing the plant kingdom. Now, he also said, I sustain by my energy all the planets and they stay in orbit. So Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada in the purport says, how do we understand this? Is it that all the planets are going in their orbits on their own? It's no, it is not so. It is also being controlled by the energy of the Lord. And he gives a wonderful analogy. He says, if anyone holds dust in your hands, will the dust fall? No. But the moment you open your hand, the dust starts getting scattered. It will fall down. So, what is gravity? That is the power of Krishna. So, he has created gravity, he has created the orbits, and that is why this world is functioning like clock. Every day, everything happens as per the design schedule. And who is the controller? It's the Lord. Acharya says, you can even compare yourself. When you're living, you can float on water. You learn how to swim because you're alive. And what is giving you this strength? It is the spirit soul, the Atma within. Similarly, the planets float in their orbits because of the power of the Lord. So his energy is sustaining each planet. So Krishna is, in summary, saying, I look after moving and non-moving thing in this world. We move to the next word, most important verse. Here we understand it's not just about sun, moon, and fire. What is Krishna saying when he says, I am the fire? He says, Aham Vaishnavanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha Pranapanatamayuktaha Pachame Annam Chaturvidam. He also describes what are the different kinds of food. He says, Krishna is the digestive fire. He is looking after us physiologically. Translation: I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of food stuff. So, after knowing that the sun, moon, and fire, he has described the sun and moon in the last two verses. He describes to us what is Agni Tattva. He says that our Agni Tattva has two parts to it. One is Bhaya Agni, external. We all know when we light a fire to cook our food stuff. There is another fire within us. We may be aware of it, but now Krishna is giving you details of that. And this Agni that Krishna is referring to is the digestive fire. It is called Antaragni, it is called Jataragni, it is also called as Vaishvanaro Bhutva, Vaishvanaro Agni. Who is Vaishvanaro? Vaishvanaro is the Devata. He is the deity who presides over digestion. Like sunlight comes from the power of Krishna, like moonlight comes from the power of Krishna. Even Vaishvanaro is able to digest the food by the grace of Krishna. He says, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita. What is Praninam? Praninam is all living entities. It's not just about humans. So every animal, every living entity in this world depends on the digestive fire for digestion. In fact, now Krishna brings a very nice contrast to us if we understand. In the earlier verse, he had said in 15.7, who are we? He gave us an identity. He says, Mamaivamshu Jivaloke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha, Manasastani Indriyani, Prakrutistani Karshati. He says, all the living entities in this world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So instead of being Mamaivam Jivaloke, what we have become Deham Ashrita. What is the problem with Deham Ashrita? You are trying to enjoy at the body level. But Krishna is trying to give us the awareness. He tells Arjuna, you can't maintain your own body yourself. Even for that, you need my support. Airs are so important in all the functions of the body, including digestion. That is what he explains here. He says, Prana Pana Samayuktaha. digestive fire in the body works with prana and apana, exhalation and inhalation. Pachami annam chaturvidham. So he's describing pachami. I digest food by prana, apana. And he says there are four kinds of food. And what are those? Bhashyam. You need you need to chew it food. You could eat a chapati, you could eat rice. Bhojyam. It is liquid, tear, paisam, coke, thumbs up, whatever. You swallow it. Third kind of food is lehyam. You lick it, honey. You can't swallow honey. You have to lick honey. Koshyam. You suck. You take a drumstick, you take tender coconut, you suck it. So all the kinds of food, he says, I help you in digesting that. So what is the learning here? So whatever we eat becomes our fuel. It becomes the strength of our mind or weakness of the mind. The food affects our consciousness. Everything is expression of the Lord. We should remember the Lord gives and forgives. We get and forget. So why the scriptures say do not eat non-vegetarian food? Because you will not be able to live in the mode of sattva, in the mode of goodness. You will always be attracted by the mode of passion. So he says try to eat sattvic food. Going further, there is a beautiful description of what are the types of food we should eat and what are the benefits you gain. He says, he's telling Arjuna, appreciate me in the creation. Appreciate me in all the things around you. He says, this is the Gnana Chakshu. This is how you make your eyes to see the knowledge around you. So here we have completed these 4 verses where we have understood Krishna is looking after how to live in the material world. Next verse, he's telling us how he helps us spiritually also. This verse, a very important verse of Gita. Sarvasya chaham hrudi sanivisto matta smrutir gnanam apohanam cha vedaishcha sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. What is Krishna saying? He says, as Paramatma, Krishna initiates all activities. Let's understand what is the translation. Krishna is saying, I am seated in everyone's heart. And from me comes 3 important things. Shrutir, that is remembrance. Knowledge, that is Gnanam. And Pohanam Cha is forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta and I am the knower of Vedas. This is an extremely enlightening verse for all of us. There are 2 parts to this verse. First 2 lines where Krishna is saying, I am within you. I am not far. You only have to look within to find me. That's the first message. And he says, I am not sitting inside idle. All the time I am guiding you. Where does our instinct come from? It comes from within. He's saying, I am guiding you as Chaitya Guru by giving you Smrutir Gnanam Apohanam Cha. So what is the conclusion of this? If you say in one line, it is, I am everything. I am in everything. So there is no point in arguing that, oh, where is Krishna? Whatever you see, wherever you look at, he is to be found. Sarvasya chaham pudisanivisto. Now he's giving you specific answer. I am seated in everyone's heart. And how am I seated? I am seated as Paramatma. You can see whoever you are, whatever age you are, whichever living being you are, he is within us. How does Acharya explain this? They say, you should understand this body is our Kshetragna is nothing but the temple. Deha Devalaya. Mind is the Garbhagruha, the sanctum sanctorum. And where is the deity? He's sitting within us, in the mind, within us, within our body as Paramatma. So we don't have to go to any temple externally to see the Lord. If you want to see the Lord, you can see him within. That is why it says any spiritual knowledge is not knowledge to be understood. The knowledge has to be realized. It's not that Krishna is saying this for the first time. He said this even in 13.23. Buddhashtanumanta cha bharata bhokta maheshwaraha paramatmeti chapi yukto dehe asmin purusha paraha. He said, yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. So earlier too, he has told us. Now, what is the difference between the 13th chapter and 15th chapter? There, he is Udrishtanumanta cha. He is the observer and Bharata Bhokta Maheshwara. He is the maintainer. But here, he is now giving us further insight, further knowledge. He says, I also help you by giving you these three things. And let us understand how important each one of us. Without them, we cannot survive. Matta. Matta means coming from me. What are those three things? I mentioned Smruti, knowledge. Sorry, Smruti is remembrance. Gnanam is knowledge. Apohanam is forgetfulness. So he is acting as our Chaitya Guru. He is guiding us continuously. That's why we should be careful of what we desire. If we desire to turn to Krishna, that is one path. If you desire, I don't want to be following Krishna. Who is Krishna? Where is God? Show me God. Choice is yours. Then there is another path that opens up for you. Smrutir, remembrance. I want to share a story which shows you the essence of remembrance. And after that, you can apply this to any event around you to see the hand of Krishna. This story is about Sridhar Swami's realization. Sridhar Swami is a great sage, a saint, and he's a great devotee of the Lord. And he was in Grihastha, he was married, and he wanted to be a sannyasi. He says, I want to spend my entire life devoted to worshipping the Lord. Then, since he had a family responsibility, he convinced his wife. Wife agreed, and she said, I am in the family way. As soon as I become a mother, I will allow you to go. So please be with me until that. Then Sridhar Swami said, fine, this is the law, this is the will of Krishna. I will follow his advice. And he waited for the child's birth. But Krishna has different plans. Surprisingly, shockingly, mother passed away during childbirth. Now, Sridhar Swami was puzzled. He says, as it is, I had the responsibility of looking after my wife. Now you have given me a responsibility of looking after a motherless child. What do you expect me to do? And what is my desire? My desire is to become your devotee. Krishna says, whatever you desire, I will fulfill. Let's look at how he fulfills it. When he was lost deep in thought, he was looking around, and on the wall in front of him, there was he observed, very carefully. These realized persons have very keen senses. He sees a mother lizard carrying a newborn lizard in its arms and walking slowly on the wall. Very careful so that she doesn't drop the child. But suddenly something happened and the baby lizard slipped from her grasp and the lizard lands with a thud on the floor. And Sridhar Swami is watching this carefully. What happens now? The baby lizard is shocked. It doesn't know what happened, why it is here. And the mother lizard doesn't know how did my baby lizard slipped out. And she is desperately searching, where is my baby lizard? And as the baby lizard was lying motionless for some time, he observed a small ant crawling by its side. Now, the most important thing, he noticed that the baby lizard put out its tongue in a flash, caught that ant, and blissfully, gleefully ate that ant. If we were to see this, it's nothing but it's something extraordinary. It is something, which is happening every time. It was hungry, so it ate. The realization is this baby lizard, which is just born, how does it know that I have to put my tongue out, I have to catch the ant, and I have to eat the ant, and ant is my food? Who is giving us this remembrance? That is realization. Knowledge, everyone has. Wisdom, very few have. Sridhar Swami understood this is the hand of Krishna. Everything in this world is working by his arrangement. So why should I worry? Thinking like that, then there is a nice verse in Kathopanishad. Let us see that, what it says. It says, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Ya Bahunam Vidadati Kaman. What is the essence of this? The essence is everything in this world is taken care of by the eternal Lord. Unless you are intelligent, you cannot see the hand of the Lord at play in every living breath of all of us in this world. So this is the power of remembrance. It doesn't end here. Now, what happened? Just to close and complete the story, Krishna created a kindest couple who visit Sridhar Swami, and they are so happy to adopt the child. So the child has found parents, and Sridhar Swami has found freedom to pray to the Lord eternally. This is remembrance. And it's not just about Sridhar Swami's example. Acharyas even talk about a child, newly born child. How does it know? Wow, who gives us the knowledge? Who gives the baby the training to suckle the mother's breast to find its food? Nobody. It happens by instinct. That is Krishna. That is the remembrance. The remembrance is carried. We just can't see that, but it happens automatically. Now, this is the power of remembrance, power of knowledge. Apohanam cha, forgetfulness. Then you'll be wondering, why is Krishna talking about forgetfulness? Who needs forgetfulness? If only I was not forgetful, I would have remembered every shloka of Gita. Because I'm forgetful, I'm not able to remember the shloka of Gita. This is true at one level. But Krishna says, please remember, you go through so many miseries in this world. If I were not Pohanam Cha, you would have lived your entire life saying that, oh, this misery befell me. So time is considered as the greatest healer. Why? Because time helps us to forget. So Krishna is saying, I am giving you the power to forget. Now you may say, oh, this is okay, but I'm still not able to understand how is it so useful. Now, I have joined Iskcon. I want to practice Krishna consciousness. You may be joining some other religious institution. What do we see around? Now, when I joined Iskcon, I had devotees association who were Christians, who were Muslims, who were non-vegetarians, who were, no, they said we enjoy our drink. Smoking is a habit and a passion with me. What have you? All kinds of different people. We are all common people. We can't change ourselves overnight because we have joined Iskcon or because we want to follow Krishna consciousness. Habits die hard. But then nobody imposed, nobody said, Mr. Sham or Mr. Mukesh, Mr. Ramesh, stop drinking from tomorrow, stop eating non-veg from tomorrow. No, nobody says. In any religious institution, there is no imposition. It is your choice. And by choice, I am amazed to see people who were very strict non-vegetarians have given up non-vegetarian completely, happily, voluntarily. Nobody has forced them. Where is that coming from? How did they forget that great taste of the non-vegetarian food? It could be chicken, it could be mutton, whatever. It is Krishna. If you desire to go closer to him, he will give you the forgetfulness of all the bad taste. He will give you the remembrance of all the good taste. That is Krishna. So what is that we can do? Hold on to the desire, create the desire within to love Krishna. This is the first part of this verse. Second two lines, he says, Vedaisya sarvair aham eva vedyo Vedanta krid veda vid eva chaham. Vedais means broad understanding. Of all the Vedas, we have four Vedas, Puranas, Itihasas. Itihasas. So what do these Shruti scriptures teach us? They teach us at the first level, Karma Kanda, do your karma. Then if you dig deeper, it will tell you Gnana Kanda, apply knowledge. And the last stage is Bhakti, Upasana Kanda. Krishna is the subject matter of all scriptures, all Vedas and Vedanta. But you need time to understand and discover. He also says, Vedanta Krit Veda Vid Eva Chaham. He is such a wonderful guru that he mentions one word and he follows through in the next three verses by giving us the summation of Vedanta. That is Krishna for us. He says, you'll be wondering, how are you the compiler of Vedanta, Krishna? He says, I am Vyasdev. He is my literary incarnation. It is only through me that Vyasdev came into this world and created Vedas and the Vedanta Sutra. What is Vedanta Sutra? Vedanta Sutra is a summation of all the Vedas, all the scriptures that is there in this world. And he summarized that into 550 sutras. Instead of studying all the Vedas and spending your lifetime, just go through Vedanta and you'll get the same knowledge. And then the beauty is, study Trishloki Gita, you will get the same knowledge. And what is this Vedanta? I'm sure most of us have gone through these verses or aphorisms, shlokas, very short verses with powerful philosophy behind. To understand each shloka, you will take many, many years. I have quoted few. Atato Brahma Jigyasa, Janmadi Asya Yato, Tattu Samanvayat, Shastra Yonatvat. So this is Krishna telling Arjuna, I am Vedas and I am Vedanta. Now you will be wondering, why is Krishna talking about Veda and Vedanta here? Because he says, I am in the Gnana section, so I have to impress upon you that I give you knowledge from within and I give you knowledge from outside. Even in 13.18, Krishna had said the same thing. He says, Jyotisam apita jyotis, tamasa param uchyate, gnanam gneyam gnanagamyam, hudi sarvasya vistitam. He says, I am the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. What is Krishna? Another name of Krishna is Vedas. Another name of Krishna is Vedanta. He is the object of knowledge and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. So when we study a book, we should know what is the purpose of the book. Then we will keep understanding what Krishna is saying. So with this, he has mentioned Vedanta. Now he's diving deep into Vedanta. The next three verses. He talks about 16, 17, 18. Sambandha Jnana. Knowledge of our relationship with Krishna. In the 19th verse, he talks about Abhideya, process of attainment of relationship with Krishna. What do we need to do to understand the relationship, establish this relationship? Krishna is saying that in one verse, in one line, in fact. And if you're able to understand that, we have understood the entire knowledge that is there in this world to understand. And then we are all people who say, what is the result? What is the reward? Why should I do this? He says, I will tell you what is the reward. This is the Trishloki Gita. Now, when we did the 10th chapter, Vibhuti Yoga, we had mentioned the same thing. There in Chatusloki Gita, he gave us the knowledge of the entire Gita. Now, in 3 verses, he's giving the entire summation of Vedas, entire scriptures that is there. How do we understand Sambandha? In simple layman's language. It's like your child decides, I want medicine, I want to study engineering, whatever. If it is medicine, 5 years. If it is engineering, it is 4 years. What is this? The child has created a relationship with that course, with that branch of knowledge. Engineering makes you an engineer. Medicine makes you a doctor. That is the sambandha. What is the abhideya? What is the process? You have to study, if it is medicine, 5 years. If it is engineering, 4 years. Is there a shortcut? No. That is the process to be followed. There is a curriculum and you have to follow that. If you do that, what is the prayojana? What is the result? What is the reward? You will become an engineer, you will become a doctor. Similarly, if you study Gita, if you understand these three slokas, you will get the reward of eternal knowledge. Krishna says, you will become one with me. What more do you want? While living in this world, in this body, you can be one with Krishna. That is the power of knowledge. And very nicely described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I will not take much time. One line. He says, what is the eternal job or what is the purpose of our life in this world? Jivere Swarupahaya Krishnera Nityadasa. What does it mean? We are eternally the servant of Krishna because Mamay Vamsha Jiva Loke. We are part of Krishna. If we are part of Krishna, we have to serve Krishna. That's why when I got initiated, my name is Sakshi Mohan, and to overcome the ego, to make myself humble, anyone, we call ourselves Dasa. What is the translation of Dasa? We are servants. We are whose servant? We are servant of Krishna. When we bow down to another person, why do we bow down? Because we are showing respect to the Paramatma within that person. So Krishna has not only helped us maintain cosmologically, physically, physiologically, spiritually, he has told us how he is guiding us. Now he is giving us the further essence of knowledge. He says, Dvav imau purushau loke charastakshara evacha chara sarvani bhutani kutasto charauchyate. So he says, the first step of learning in Vedanta is there are two kinds of living entities, Chara, Chara. And he's making it so simple. There is no formula, nothing to be by-hearted. You don't have to learn by rote like we used to do in our whichever subject you choose. Simple, straightforward, a layman can understand. Translation, just 4 lines. He says, there are two classes of beings in this world, fallible, infallible, Kshara, Akshara. In the material world, every living entity is fallible. So all of us, there is no distinction between us. Our qualification is we are fallible. We are conditioned souls. And in the spiritual world, every living entity is called Kshara, is called infallible. So the journey of spirituality is how do we become Kshara from Kshara? Let's go line by line. Dvav imau purushau loke. Dvav means two. So in this imau purusha loke, in this world, in this material universe, which comprises of 14 worlds that we saw in the last chapter, in the last class, there are two kinds of purushas. Wow, purusha loke. There are two kinds of purushas. What are those? He says, Ksharas chakshara evacha. What is kshara? Charati iti kshara. Kshara means to fall, the fallible. So we are all fallible. Jivabhaddha. Why we are called Jivabhaddha? Why we are called fallible? Because we have a body which changes. We are perishable. We are here for today, a few days, and we are not there. Our body decays. We undergo modification. That is the conditioning that we are suffering in this material world. So there are two kinds of people, fallible and infallible. The other type is Akshara. What is Akshara? Na ksharati iti Akshara. If you don't fall, that is Akshara. Kshara is to fall, Akshara is not to fall. So we are liberated, infallible, imperishable. Who is this? It is our soul, our Atma, our Kshetragna, which we have studied in the early chapters. It resides within the heart of every Jiva, and the Atma has no death, Atma has no birth. It just keeps changing its body like we change dresses. And Krishna has explained what is Akshara earlier in the 8th chapter. He said, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Aksharam Brahma Paramam, Swabhavo Adhyatmam Uchyate, Bhuta Bhavut Bhavakaro, Visarga Karma Samjnitaha. He says, the Lord said, indestructible transcendental living entity is called Brahman. And his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, Sen. Action pertaining to development of material bodies of the living entities is called karma or fruitive activities. So the Atma within us is Akshara. So if we have to become liberated, if we have to become Akshara, we should realize the presence of Brahman within us. It says, Kshara Sarvani Bhutani. Very easy to understand. All the living beings in this world are fallible. We are struggling in this world for existence. Why? Because we want to believe we are the body. We forget we are the soul. And what happens to us because of this? Why we are called Kshara? Why we are called fallible? This is the cycle of life and death. You're born, you grow, you reproduce, you age, and you die. This is the cycle of life and death. He says, if you want to step away from this, come out of the clutches of modes, kutasto kara uchyate. First, realize that there is a transcendental kutasto. The soul is situated transcendentally in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, there is no body which is made up of matter. So this whole cycle, it does not happen in the spiritual world. That is why Kshara is imperishable, kutasto is unchanging. That is the essence of first shloka in short. And Krishna has already said what happens if you get this knowledge in 4.10. He says, Vitaraga Bhayakroda Manmaya Mam Upashritaha Bahavu Gnana Tapasa Kutamad Bhavam Agataha. Says, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge. By knowledge. Which knowledge that Krishna is talking currently of me, and thus they all attain transcendental love for me. That is simple. You don't have to do anything. Just realize the knowledge that Krishna is giving us in this verse. When you are having this knowledge, you get purified, and then you can attain the state of Krishna. It's not that only in that verse he has said this. In the same message is conveyed in 14.2. He says, "Idam gnanam upashritya mama sadharmayam agataha sarge apinopajayante pralayena vedanti cha." If you become fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to be the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. If we follow what Krishna has advised, we can also be liberated while living in this world. Let's move to the next verse. Another gem of a verse. Krishna is now revealing the identity of Paramatma. He says, Uttama Purushastva Anyaha Paramatmeti Udharataha Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Vivarti Avyaya Ishwaraha. So within us, beyond Kshara and Akshara, beyond Kshetragna and Kshetra, there is Paramatma. He says, Paramatmeti Udarataha. What is the translation? Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, Supreme Soul, imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. So Krishna is now revealing his identity, saying that I am present within you and I am called Paramatma. And what is my power? Just read this verse. Now, in the first verse, we understood Chara. I have a message. What is that? Oh, sorry. Chetana is requesting I would request all devotees to go on mute because there is some noise which is coming. Thank you, Chetana. I can hear the sound again. Can I mute all? Let me see participants. Ambaji, I think the noise is coming from your side. Yeah.
No,
No,
no.
because
I am absolutely fine. There is no noise at all.
आप एक काम करेंगे, म्यूट कर दीजिए. Let us see.
Okay.
Stop हो जाएगा. हाँ, perfect. Now there is no chance of any noise coming. So now Krishna, in the first verse, he told us Kshara, Akshara. So we also studied and understood that Kshara is the Brahman realization, whom the Jnanis worship. Now Krishna is talking about Paramatma, whom the yogis worship. If you do Ashtanga Yoga, what do you realize? You realize that Paramatma is present within me. I don't have to go anywhere. So Krishna is giving the description of Paramatma for all the yogis. The word two indicates that there is a distinction between Akshara and Kshara that he talked about in the last verse. Let's go through line by line. Uttama Purushastva Anyaha. Anya means there is another principle other than Kshara that is fallible and Kshara that is liberated. Something higher, something more powerful. Who is that? Paramatmeti Udaratma. He is Paramatma, Supreme Soul. And we have studied this verse. I will again walk you through that because very important. He has already told that I am within each of you as Pudrashtanamanta cha Bharata Bhokta Maheshwaraha Paramatmeti chapi yukto Dehe Asmin Purusha Paraha. Yet in this body there is another transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. What is the difference between this verse and what we are reading now? There, the Lord said, I am Pudrashtanumanta, I am your observer, and Bharata Bhokta Maheshwara, I am the maintainer. But here, he's telling, I also act internally, and how I act, I will tell you. Yolokatremavisha. What I do, I pervade the entire three worlds. In Gayatri mantra, we say Om Bhuhu, Om Bhuvaha, Om Suvaha. What does it mean? It means all the three worlds, the entire cosmos. And Krishna is saying, I am Lokatrayam. Trayam means three. All the three worlds I penetrate, I pervade. That is the power of Paramatma. How do we understand this? How does Krishna pervade the entire universe? Acharyas give a 3 or 4 examples which helps us understand concept of pervase. How does it pervade? Now you take gold. You can see gold in the form of a necklace, ring, bangle, etc. But what is the substance of any ornament you see in this world which is made up of gold? It is gold. Any furniture, it is made up of wood. So gold pervades the ornaments and gives existence. Wood pervades the furniture, gives existence. Water pervades the waves and gives existence. How do we understand this further? Minus gold, there is no ornament. Minus wood, there is no furniture. Minus water, there is no wave. Minus Paramatma, there is no living entity. That is the conclusion. Vibharti avyaya Ishvara. Vibharti means I sustain, I support, I maintain, I protect. Avyaya Ishvara. How is the Paramatma? He is avyaya. He has no change. He doesn't have a material body. He has a permanent, forever glowing body. He is ultimate. He is final. So, what is the form of Krishna? What is the form of Paramatma? He says, I have 3. He describes in 3 words. I am Ishvara. Vivarti avyaya Ishvara. Avyaya means changeless. I am Supreme Lord. Vivarti means supports and protects. So he's giving us the definition of Paramatma in 3 words. So how do we understand? Acharyas give further examples to say that how does Paramatma, how does Atma pervade our body? You may be wondering, अरे ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता, मैं तो देख नहीं पाऊंगा. How is it possible? Now I'll suggest something. All of you try to pinch yourself, any part of your body. What happens? Anyone can tell me? Are you feeling pain or are you feeling pressure? Chetana?
Pain, obviously,
Pain.
sir.
So why is that? And imagine you can pinch yourself any part of the body. I'm giving you no restrictions. And tell me, oh, in this part of the body it doesn't pain. It is pleasurable to me. Impossible. So what is the beauty of consciousness? Consciousness is constant. It doesn't change. It is changeless in a changing body. Now you may say, oh, well, I can understand I can feel the Atma and Paramatma within and how is this consciousness? Because I'm feeling the pain equally across the body. Next, now you're watching a movie. What happens there? Characters may run, the vehicles may speed, you'll have chase sequences. The heroine may dance around the trees, but the screen does not run. The screen does not move. Similarly, consciousness, Paramatma, is fixed, changeless, avyaya. That is how we have to understand Paramatma within us. Going further, we come to the next verse, the last verse of Sambandha Jnana. He says, Yasmat Ksharam Athitoham Aksharad Apichottamaha Atosmi Loke Vedecha Pradita Purshottama. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is saying, Pradita Purshottama. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. So he's now telling you who is he. He's revealing yet another identity of his. He says, Pratita Purshottamaha. Let's go line by line. Yasmat Ksharam Atitoham. He says, I am beyond the Kshara. Aksharadapi Chottamaha. I am beyond Akshara. Ksharo Atitoham. Ksharad Api Chottamaha. What is Uttamaha? He says, I am beyond Akshara and I am Uttama. I am the best. No one to compare. No one can come even close to me. In the last verse, he says, Uttama Purushastvanya Paramatmeti Udaharata. Now he's saying, I am beyond Paramatma. Even Paramatma is part of me. He says, Yasmat Ksharam Atito Aham. You may be wondering, oh, where is Krishna saying it is me? He's saying, Aham. I am beyond Kshara and Akshara. There is no confusion now. Then he says, Ato Asmi Loki Vedecha. Where all these things is known, whoever reads the scriptures, Paurana Agama says, if you read the Smriti scriptures, you will have this understanding across all the worlds, Lokecha, across all Vedas, Vedecha, and across all the people who describe the Lord, Kavis. Who are the great poets? Kalidasa, Valmiki, Vyasa, Raghuvamsha, what they're all saying that Krishna is the Purshottama. Patita Purshottama. I am celebrated as Uttama Purusha. What is Purshottama? You just reverse Uttama Purusha. It becomes Purshottama. So Krishna has now revealed the identity of Brahman, he's revealed the identity of Paramatma, and he's revealed the identity of Purshottama. That is the conclusion. Next class, I will ask this question. Who is Purshottama? And what is your answer? Sambhaji?
Uttama, sorry.
Purshottama is Krishna. So take these notes because next class I will ask this question. And he has so beautifully concluded between 14th and 15th chapter who he is. He said here, if you want to come to the level of Brahman, you have to do Bhakti Yogena Sevate. So he says you can come to the level of Brahman. Then in 14.27 he says, Brahmano hi pratistaham. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. Now he says, Pratita Purushottama. I am that Purushottama. I am Brahman, I am Paramatma, I am Purushottama. So with this, we have completed the Sambandha Jnana. Now we come to what is the process. Simple. Krishna's message is always consistent. He says, Yoma mevam asamudo janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Knower of Krishna knows everything. This will be another question next time. Who knows everything? Who will
Sri Krishna.
claim? Krishna. Who will claim that I have all the knowledge? It is Krishna. If you know Krishna, you have understood this universe. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting, please understand, underline this. When you have faith, it is 100%. You cannot say, to the extent of 70%, I believe Krishna is the Supreme Lord. No. Either you believe or you don't believe. Fact doesn't change. He says, without doubting, he is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. What is the process of obtaining Krishna? 3 words or 2 words, 3 words, full devotional service. Sarva bhavena Bharata. Simple. So now let's go line by line. Yoma evam asamudo. You say asamudo. Who is an asamudo? Asamudo is one who has no confusion, who has no delusion, who has no doubts. His faith is 100%. He has absolute clarity. You wake him up in the middle of the night and ask him, can you please tell me who is Purshottama? And he will not say, oh, 1 minute, let me refer to 15th chapter of Krishna, Gita and come back. He will just say Purshottama. And his faith is absolute. When I say absolute, you may be wondering, why is Sham repeating this again and again? Please understand, the faith is tested when we go through bad time. You know, when everything is working fine, it's very easy to believe Krishna. But when we are in pain, when we lose our near and dear ones, when we are afflicted by some disease, uncurable, very expensive to cure, then you still have to maintain your faith. Whatever is happening by the will of Krishna. Nothing changes. It is just a state of mind. I am happy, I am unhappy. But Krishna's Purushottama status is eternal. It doesn't change. So we should stick to this knowledge, stick to this understanding, come what may. Only then it is realization. If not, it is just a line, a shloka in Gita. Janati Purushottamam. Whoever knows me as the Lord, without doubting, as the Uttama Purusha, who is he? What is his qualification? He says, Sa Sarva Vid Bhajati Mam. He understands me to be the Purushottama. Such a person is Sarva Ved. He knows everything. He has the complete knowledge. Not just intellectual knowledge, but transformational knowledge. And what is the transformational knowledge? Is if you are knowledgeable, then you are humble and you bow down to Krishna. And you say that, I offer myself in your services because that is my eternal nature. Throughout whatever lifetimes I come into this world, I want to serve you, Krishna. That should be our strong desire. In 7.2, also Krishna had said this. He said, Gnanam te aham savignanam idam vakshyami ashesataha yajnatvaneha bhuyo anyat gnatavyam avashishyate. What a powerful verse. He says, I shall now declare unto you this full knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. Thus being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. There is no need to study for 4 years, 5 years to become a doctor or engineer. sitting at home, you can get this knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Sarva Bhavena Bharata. He says, only such a person who has this knowledge, who has the eyes of knowledge, can worship me with full heart, who has unfailing faith, can worship me with full heart, with his emotions. And he said the same thing in the Chatushloki Gita. He had said there, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante maam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know perfectly this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So it is not simple to know that Krishna is Purshottama. First is the knowledge. Second is apply that knowledge. Say that now, Krishna, I realize nothing in this world moves without you. So I better serve you than serving Maya, serving this material world. So what are the common things between this verse and this verse what we are studying? In 15th chapter, he said, Sa sarvavid bhajati ma. In this chapter, he said, 10th chapter, he said, Buddha bhava samanvita. Both are same. You will surrender unto me, provided you have the knowledge that I am the Supreme Lord. When you say surrender, you surrender your emotions. You love him. Krishna is not someone to be feared. I am coming back from Vrindavan, where he says in Vrindavan, no Brajvasi prays to Krishna as God. He is Ladla, Radharani is Ladli. They fire him if things don't work in their homes. That is the Madhurya Bhav with which Krishna wants him to be. Worship is for us. For a person who has understood Krishna, you love him. That is surrender. That is Buddha Bhava Samanvita. That is Sasarvavid Bhajati Mam. That is devotional service. The moment you say, I am Mukesh, I am Ramesh, I am Chetna, you are not serving Krishna. You are saying, I am Chetna, I am servant of Krishna, then you are serving Krishna. That is the humility that we have to develop in us. The last verse of this chapter, he says, Iti guhyatamam shastram idam uktam mayanagha itadhudva buddhiman syat krutakrutyasya bharata. He says, this is the summary and falashruti. Everyone wants to know what will happen if I surrender to Krishna. He says, whatever you want, whatever you desire, I will fulfill it. In all of us have material worries, material problems, material challenges. You only have to say, Krishna, please help me, please solve these problems so that I can surrender into you completely. This is the most confidential part of Vedic scriptures. Guhyatamam, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. And to know this verse in Gita, you don't need to have any material pre-qualification. Nobody asks what's your birth. Nobody asks what's your designation. Nobody asks which caste you come from. Nobody asks which strata of society you come from. How many $1 million you have or how many $1 million you don't have. Nothing. The qualification is zero. Qualification is humility. The qualification is curiosity to know what is that Krishna wants us to understand in this world. So he says the essence of all the Vedanta is just realize devotional service is spiritual understanding. If you understand Krishna as Purshottama, offer yourself in service. When you say Krishna, then there can be no contamination. Your purification happens automatically. For devotional service, try to follow a guidance of a spiritual master. Try to find one and follow his advice. That's why whenever I start talking on Gita, what do? I offer prayers to the Lord. I offer prayers to my Guru. I offer prayers to my Guru Maharaj. And I seek blessings of all you devotees. Why? Because only then Krishna is pleased. As long as you are able to say that, Krishna, I worship you unconditionally. I am all yours. Then only Krishna says, you have understood what is my message. Why is this secret? Why is this confidential? He says, Iti guhyatamam shastram. Yes, guhya is secret. Guhyatamam is ultimate secret. It is like, you tell me what is the secret of this world. This knowledge is the secret of the world. We spend our lifetime after lifetime and we are not able to understand this. Krishna is saying, read this one line, read this one chapter, read this one shloka, understand that. So, and let us not belittle ourselves. Let us not feel we are, no, we are not worthy. No, I will tell you the challenge that Brahma faced when he first went through reading Vedas. That will give us reassurance. If Brahma takes so many attempts to understand the message, who are we as Kshara, as fallible souls? Brahma, when he first heard the Vedas, he said, "Oh Krishna, I think the conclusion of Vedas is karmakand. Do your karma and you will achieve Krishna." Krishna said, "Why don't you go and listen to it once again?" He did the second time. What did he understand? He came back to Krishna and said, "Oh, Krishna, I understand now. I am very clear. Krishna, your message is do your karma, plus you also have to have gnana. And what is the gnana? That you are the Supreme Lord. Realize that you are within me as Paramatma." Krishna said, "Why don't you go back again and listen to the Vedas once again?" He did it the third time. Then he reached the conclusion that Karma Kanda, Gnana Kanda, all of them lead to one Kanda, and that is Upasana Kanda, and that is Bhakti Yoga. Until and unless you come to this realization, your knowledge is not complete. If Brahma had to take 3 attempts, imagine what is our qualification. So that is the reason why Krishna keeps saying, what I am revealing to you is so confidential. Reading it any number of times is not enough until and unless you say, I have now understood this completely. And what is the understanding? Only when you surrender. If tomorrow Krishna were to come and say that, Sham, stop working and surrender yourself completely. And if I can do it without blinking an eyelid, then I have surrendered. I cannot say, oh, Krishna, give me another 2 years. I have to just retire. As soon as I retire, I will be in your service. No, that is not faith. You are still going there, but you're not there. And he says, Etad buddhva buddhiman syat. Whoever understands this secret knowledge, kruta krutyasya bharata, his endeavors will know perfection. And I want to highlight this. We are all Kshara jivas in this world. All of us have material problems. You know, someone has a child who has to get married. Someone has a child who has to do its studies. Whatever be the nature of your material worries, surrender yourself to Krishna and say, Krishna, please bless me with Shuddha Krishna Bhakti. All the others will happen automatically. You don't have to pray for it specifically. He says, by reading Purshottama Yoga, the weakness of the heart will disappear and you will become strong to say that I don't want to enjoy anything apart from Krishna, separate from Krishna. I will enjoy everything as being part of Krishna. With that, we come to the end. Yes, I will mention this last verse because why Krishna, and Krishna has said this even in the 9th chapter. Whatever I am revealing to you is very confidential. And he has used the same words, Guyyatamam. He said, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Idam tu te Guyyatamam Pravakshyami Anusuyave, Gnanam Vignana Saitam Yagnatva Mokshase Ashubhat. He's again and again repeating, the Supreme Personality of God had said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, Anusuyave. Here he said, Mayanaga. In the earlier chapter, he said, Anusuyave, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. So what does it take? A learning we take back home. We know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and we confess to him, we pray to him and say that Krishna, bless us with your devotion. We know all the problems will get solved on their own. Home. This is the chapter's acronym. Quick recap. Krishna says, identify your permanent home. Do not love your temporary home. Oh, he says over and over again, you come back to this world. Please come back to the spiritual world. Then your body will not age. You will not have miseries. You will not have old age. You will not have death. M, he says, if you do not have the knowledge of Atma Gyan, no, it is too difficult for you to understand. Just remember to see me with the eyes of knowledge around you. Wherever you see me, I am there. I am everything. I am in everything. Essence of Gita, we have had the satisfaction by listening to this verse today where Krishna says, you will take ages to read the 4 Vedas, 108 Upanishads, Ithiyasas, lifetimes. And you will come to the same conclusion. Krishna has helped us in 3 shlokas by saying that, please know what is the knowledge, what is the essence of Vedanta. And what did we study? We studied There are two kinds of living being, fallible, infallible. Beyond Kshara and Akshara is Uttama Purusha. And what is that form of Uttama Purusha? He's Paramatma, and he's the maintainer of the three worlds. Every one of us has Paramatma within us. There is no difference between any of us. Then in the 18th to 20th verse, Krishna revealed himself that I am Pratiha Purshottama. I am beyond Kshara, Akshara. I am the source of Brahman and Paramatma. We studied this in the 14th chapter. He says, I am the greatest. One in knowledge of Krishna knows everything. That is the Palashruti. Engages. What is the benefit of that knowledge? You become humble, you surrender, and you say, I want to engage in devotional service of you, oh my Lord, please bless me. You will attain perfection. That is the sum and substance of what we studied over the last two classes. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, the floor is all yours.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. No
Hare
questions.
Krishna. Yeah.
No questions, just gratitude, expression of gratitude towards. This is a beautiful chapter. It's a beautiful, beautiful chapter. So just an expression of gratitude for giving us this meaning, the meaning of the chapter.
Thank you, Chaitanya. Thank you. One of the best chapters in Purshottama is in Gita is Purshottama Yoga, and I can you should understand the joy I feel, or all of us should feel, that no, instead of wasting all our time in reading Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharvana Veda, Sama Veda, all that we need to do is open 15th chapter and read these three verses. Pleasure, Rekha. God bless you. Thank you very much. I see her message.
Thank you.
If there are no questions, then I'll close the class. Enjoy your Sunday evening. Enjoy the Australia-India match, and make a good weekend.
Hare Krishna.
The same. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.